Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. We are still on the test server. We're going to be taking a look at Hephraak. He's a new nuker for this game, and he is amazing. I think this guy gives Trunda a real run for her money, brings my Soulless, makes it questionable whether that's somebody I want to use anymore because he's that strong of a damage dealer. Now, there are some negatives to his kit. It's not perfect, right? This is not a instant, oh, I have to swap him out for Trunda thing. There's some things you got to keep in mind when using him. He's not going to be great against all defenses, but boy, is he good when he is good. I mean, really good. And for 99% of you out there, he's going to be amazing and absolutely the choice that you're going to want to make. But there are different nukers for different reasons, right? We have champions like Trunda, who's just an amazing attack champion. We have Soulless, who's an amazing defensive-based champion. We even have Magnar, who's a great HP-based champion. So depending on what you're bringing as far as buffs go, you're going to probably want to utilize a different champion. And Hephraak fits into that mix with those three champions as one of the top nukers in this game. But it's really going to depend on who you're facing as far as whether you're going to use them or not. But anyway, what I want to do is I want to compare Hephraak with some of those other champions, right? So I'm going to bring him into Arena with some of these other champions, and we're going to compare directly against different teams who does what better, who does more damage, who's going to be more effective for us. So let's take a look at how I built these folks so you can kind of get an idea of what we're comparing, and then we'll see what they do. Thank you so much for coming out to watch this video. If you like it, please take the time, hit that subscription button, easiest way to support my channel. And if you enjoy these videos and don't want to miss the next one, hit that notification bell as well. So let's go ahead and start here with Hephraak and talk about his kit so we understand what we're dealing with. His A1 is a one-hit attack, but it gives you an extra hit if this is critical. So you build him with enough crit rate so he hits crits every single time, and this is going to be a double attack. That's really nice. When you have conditions on that second attack, then the first attack and the second attack, they're going to do the same amount of damage, and it's balanced for only the first condition, right? So it's balanced. He has a damage multiplier on his kit based around him doing a single attack, not based around that becoming a double attack. That's why champions like Hephraak, like Magnar, like Trunda, who all have conditions on some of their skills, hit really, really hard when they get the second attack in there. That's what makes them so good. So that's Hephraak's A1. That's already a really good start. His A2 is an AoE, and this places an extra hit on targets with less than 50% HP after the first hit. And each hit will ignore 15% of the target's defense. This is an incredibly hard-hitting attack when it hits, but we have to keep in mind they do need to have less than 50% HP. This is why he's not going to work for all builds. If you're facing a team that has a very, very tanky team and a lot of damage mitigation, that's not going to be as good a skill as you might think it would be. And then his A3 is kind of what brings everything together. Gives himself an increased attack and crit rate buff. That makes it so much easier to kit him out when you only have to build him up to 70% crit rate instead of 100% crit rate. And the increased attack buff means that you don't need to bring that into the team. You don't need an arbiter to make this champion work. You can use my Siffy still is my fastest champion, stay affinity friendly, not have to worry about people like Tormund, and still use this champion as a nuker. It's a very nice ability. Plus gives himself an extra turn, so you're not losing anything in that. And then the passive ability, of course, when somebody's killed, instantly activates Hephraak's Scorn, that big A2 ability, and we'll not put the skill on cooldown. Now, this is the one that I think lends itself to a lot of possibilities. If you can find a way to keep Hephraak alive when somebody else on the team dies, you're getting a free AoE nuke in. That could be massive. So there's some interesting stuff in his kit. Definitely some interesting things. I'm interested to see the big brains really work out how to utilize this passive ability into a good clan boss team, or into a good arena team, excuse me. Now, how am I kitting him out? Well, I've got him in a lethal set and a speed set. I do want to get about 170 speed at least, and that's what we were able to do here with this lethal set, and I think I have him built pretty well here. You can see as far as total stats go, 6,200 attack, 174 speed, 81% crit rate. I'm well over the crit rate, but that is what it is, and 303 crit damage, which is really nice. So those are really the only stats that I'm looking to make happen here. As far as the masteries go, you can see I have them going down the offensive tree, just pure damage here. Defensive tree doesn't really matter, but we're going down the Helm Slayer to try to get as much damage as possible in this kit. Now, of course, this is Hephraak. And there's no point just showing Hephraak. Let's compare him to a couple of the other damage dealers. So just really quickly, I'll show you some of the stats of the other ones I want to compare him to. First off, we have Trunda. I built her in a Savage set. Now, this is not the heaviest damage dealing Trunda. Definitely weaker than Hephraak in some areas, stronger in others. But you'll see here with the stats, 7,200 attack, so almost 1,000 more attack. That's considerable, but only 258 crit damage. So there's going to be that balance of 50 crit damage versus 1,000 attack. I think it should balance out pretty decently, but we'll kind of see as we get into it. That does flow off of her base attack. It's going to be higher, so her attack will almost always be higher, and I just have some better attack pieces on her as well. Same kind of masteries going down to Helm Smasher, pretty much are going to be identical across the board here. And then we have Soulless. This is actually the nuker I usually use because he's defensive base, and I have Siphi in there giving an increased defense buff, but his kit is pretty solid. He's got a Savage set on, right? He's got 5,900 defense, 254 crit damage. It's a pretty solid build. Definitely not world breaking, but pretty solid. And you can see his masteries here, same kind of masteries going down to Helm Smasher. Okay, so the way I want to do this test is I want to bring in Hephraak against Soulless against Trunda. My three biggest nukers right there, and I'm basically going to use the same team for each of them, right? We've got Siphi, we've got Kymar, we've got Madame Saris straight into our nuker on these teams. So that's kind of the idea behind this. Now the Trunda one, we don't get an increased attack buff from Siphi, so I'm going to be going Kymar into Arbiter to make that work and get the increased attack buff. Should give us the same kind of results. Now, hopefully we're fast enough to make this work. We're not going to be successful against every team, but this should give us hopefully an idea. So I'm just going to try and see if we can't make this work and give you guys a good example of how they compare against each other. So going in, we've got Soulless right here on this one. And they're of course faster than us, but that's okay because we have Madame Saris to strip buffs again. And I want to get Soulless's on 1 speed here. We'll see that A3 skill. Boom. Pretty big hits all the way around. You can see everybody on the enemy is mostly dead, almost dead, mostly dead. Good thing about Soulless, even if he doesn't kill him, he gives himself a big shield from the damage that he does, and it gives us an opportunity to come back around and do everything all over again, which is really nice. Maybe not the best of nukers, but he's defensive base. He survives a while, and I find him to be really good. Plus, he has a nice little strip with his A2 skill. So even if we don't, you know, as he does the A3 again, even if we're not super successful the first time, we can kind of come back around and do some stuff there. Okay, so let's take Soulless here against this team. This is, I think, Chosen's team here, and we'll see how this works with Soulless in this fight. So we're gonna just kind of run through it. I'll try and 1x it right before he attacks. And here we go, big hit, 170k, 90k, pretty good damage numbers, I'd say. That's the difference between the Helm Smasher, obviously, but it is one single attack, so he's not going to be the biggest nuker. The thing is, he's consistent. The increased defense works with him. That's why I use him with Siphi. Works really well, but obviously, you know, there can be some mix match with that, right? Now we can see what it's like against Tiraku with Soulless in here. Should be pretty solid run. I'm just going to let this run here. I think you guys should be able to see exactly how much damage we're doing without having to drop it to 1x speed. There it is, 1x speed. I'll get it anyway. And there you go. 150, 160, 250,000 damage across the board. Defenses are going to matter, obviously. Helm Smasher is going to matter, but obviously you can one-shot some of the speed teams, the weaker teams out there. There's the tough teams where he has a hard time with it because he's just getting one hit in. But still, generally not too shabby, right? So let's go ahead now and take a look at using Trunda. So now we've got Trunda in here. We're gonna go up against that Farsoft team, the first team I fought, and we'll see how she does, right? And got Arbiter in this time though to make sure that we have that increased attack buff. So there that is. Got the sleep from Kymar. Of course, they reset it with Thrala. It's never fun. And then Trunda should go at some point here. Boom. Pretty big damage numbers. We were actually able to kill a couple people in that one, something that Soulless was not able to do. So that makes it very effective. That's something I absolutely love about that. So that's not bad. Okay, this time we're going to bring Trunda in again, but this time we're going to have Siphi here to make sure we block the debuffs from Torment. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to run this. So between Siphi and Arbiter, we should be able to go first. Hopefully we don't get interrupted, but I don't anticipate that being an issue, even if we do. There we go. Got the decreased defense and the weaken out there. And then there goes Trunda. So you see 90k, 100k, very good numbers across the board, and obviously knocking out 3 people is a pretty good start to things. Okay, this time we're going against Tiraku. We're gonna go first here with Siffy, get the increased attack with Arbiter. They do interrupt, which is less good, and this might be a problem for us. Yeah, that's a problem. Okay. So can't even beat it. Can't even get to the fight. That's the problem. All right, this time we can take Hephraak's team against Farbstoff's, and you know, we can use Siffy because we give ourselves that increased attack buff, which is honestly pretty massive ability right there. There goes, man, there she goes. All right, 1 speed. Here we go, Hephraak. See, this got interrupted, but that's okay. Give ourselves an increased attack and crit rate buff, and boom, 1 and 2. Pretty massive right there. Hit, knocking down 2 champions out of that. Those were pretty big hits. That was really nice. Definitely on par. I'd say bigger than even Trunda did on that. Definitely on par though. And you can see we got that hit, big hit again. And yeah, it's a nice, very nice champion to bring in on this stuff. Guy can slap. Okay, let's see how Hephraak does against Chosen's team. Chofly. And yeah, we can pretty much run this, right? It's my normal team, which is really nice to be able to make it run nice and smooth. And here we go. Big hit, hopefully. He didn't die, and that's the big key. But obviously he's a little bit... There it is. Okay. Whew. 100k on each hit. That's a big 200k damage across the board. Definitely nice numbers right there, right? Like that's the kind of stuff that is pretty fantastic. Okay, now let's try Hephraak against Tiraku's team. Same thing. We should be able to run this nice and easy. And here we go. Increased attack, crit rate, boom. Whew. Whew. Got 300k total off those 2 hits. I saw 170, 130 off 1. I mean, that's... Boy can smack. And that's the thing, is like, gonna hit really, really hard with those double hits. Now, the hard part is if he doesn't knock somebody down to half health, and that can happen, especially with so much reaction gear, with champions like Ursuga or Necrit out there, can definitely be an issue. But that definitely can slap too. So I think for most people farming out there, he's going to be pretty awesome. So I think that was a pretty good example that, boy, Hephraak hits hard. Definitely doing way more damage than Trunda was. Now, obviously, the numbers were a little bit different, so it's a hard comparison to make. But, boy, this guy can slap. I mean, just massive damage numbers across the board. And the best part about him is he gives himself not only that increased attack buff, but the increased crit rate buff. The crit rate means it's so much easier to build this champion. The increased attack means that you don't even need an increased attack champion on your team. This is one of the advantages of using Arbiter over someone like a Lysandra or a Siffy. Is Arbiter gives you that increased attack buff, so your damage dealers do more damage. Well, if you don't need that, it makes it so much easier to build a speed team, because Lysandra is one of the best speed leads, probably the best speed champion in this game. Not only decreasing turn meter from the enemy, but boosting your guys' up even more than Arbiter or Siffy. And then Siffy's great because she makes you affinity friendly. You don't have to worry about freezes from Tormund when you're using Siffy on your team. So a lot of flexibility there. Now, what I want to see somebody do, though, is build this where he survives. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's something there for a, anti-hegemon team specifically is kind of what I want to see. You know what? Let's see if I can't come up with something here.